In 2022, as part of the implementation of the third stage of the modernization of the Moscow oil refinery of JSC Gazprom Neft, the RTL company carried out a project to deliver 3,000 units of equipment from EU countries and countries of the Asian region, as well as from Russian manufacturers. 2 reactors manufactured by PJSC Zhorsky plants will serve as the core of the new hydrocracking unit. The first stage reactor is 52 meters long, 7.4 by 6.3 meters, and weighs over 1,200 tons. Shipment of the equipment started in June 2022 from one of the workshops of PJSC Zhorsky plants in the Kolpinsky district of St. Petersburg. A self-propelled modular transporter was used to deliver the equipment from the manufacturing plant to the transshipment berth, where it was rolled onto a river barge. The distance from the manufacturer to the transshipment berth was 13 kilometers, which took 2 days to cover. The route of the transporter crossed the main railway line of the Oktyabrskaya Railway. For the passage through the railway tracks, a track possession was scheduled, with the suspension of the movement of freight and passenger trains, including Sapsan high-speed electric trains. After arriving at the berth, the reactor was reloaded onto a dry cargo platform barge under Project 16801. For loading onto the barge, they used the rolling method, which has proven itself in project logistics. During this process, the transport of the cargo slowly drives onto the deck of the barge through special ramps, where it lowers the cargo onto support pedestals using the hydraulic suspension stroke. To stabilize the barge during the arrival of the equipment on board, ballast water was alternately pumped into and out of the ballast tanks. The whole process of loading the cargo onto the barge took 6 hours, during which more than 3 million liters of water were pumped through the ballast tanks, an amount comparable to the volume of 2 Olympic pools. The further route from St. Petersburg to Moscow passed through such places as Lake Ladoga and Onega, the Volga-Baltic Canal system, the Volga and Moskva rivers, as well as along the Moscow Canal. It is noteworthy that earlier, such heavy units of equipment had never been transported along the Moskva River, which was the reason for registering a Russian record as the heaviest cargo carried by river transport along the Moskva River. The length of the water route was 1,300 kilometers. This distance was covered in the course of 14 days. To ensure a safe passage of the barge towing train with bulky cargo on board under low-lying bridges near the Kremlin embankment, it was decided to sink the barge by 30 centimeters to avoid collision with the bridge structures. 18 months before the unloading of oversized and heavy equipment in the immediate vicinity of the construction site of the Moscow oil refinery, they had started engineering, geological and hydrological surveys, as well as work on project documentation for the upcoming loading and unloading cluster on the Moskva River. The construction phase was carried out by the construction department of the RTL company and continued for 10 months. The heavy cargo was unloaded from the barge to the berth by rolling out. All the unloading operations took no more than 5 hours. On the last mile, the reactor was delivered from the berth on the Moskva River to the construction site of the hydrocracking unit of the Moscow oil refinery via the city street network. To avoid damage to underground pipelines, the load from the self-propelled conveyor on the roadway was evenly distributed across 256 wheels of self-propelled modules. At this stage, the transportation of the heaviest of the 3,000 cargo items was completed. The RTL company demonstrated once again that transportation of the latest, large-sized technological equipment intended for the modernization of today's enterprises in Russia is a complex but manageable process.